Okay, folks. So we have to talk about this interview of Meghan with Jamie Kern Lima, who's supposed to be her really close friend for the last some years. And they've been constantly in touch and being each other's support system. But somehow, this is the first time we are hearing about her. Now, Jamie Kern Lima she runs a podcast, and it's actually a really nice podcast. I haven't come across it before, but from what I can see of the theme, I think it's something I could get behind. But for this interview with Meghan, because if Meghan, with everything she has done and said, if she fits the persona that deserves to be on a podcast like this, that dilutes the whole brand for me. But anyway, this is not about Jamie. So the number of moments in this podcast that I came across that I felt were just so not surprising, but Meghan somehow manages to outdo herself over and over. I noticed some moments which I felt I have to share and talk about. So let's get started. So this first one here, she's talking about Yasmine Bleeth, who I'm sure you all know, was really famous in the 90s and early 2000s for Baywatch. I'm sure you've heard of it. So Yasmine Bleeth is like a star. She's huge. She's a big celebrity. And Meghan's talking about how she ran into her at a yogurt place that Meghan was working at. And she talks about how Yasmine was so down to earth and humble. And she asked Meghan how she's doing, what her name is, and she introduced herself. And Meghan says how this left a mark on her. And she always remembered this. And years later, she tried to imbibe this. And something that struck me, something very specific, she says, this is not something anyone teaches you about being an actor after you've experienced great success. And I was like, Meghan, what? You haven't experienced great success in acting. I mean, what are you talking about? You're comparing yourself to Yasmine Bleeth in the 90s? Girl, give me a break.
And she was so gracious. This was such a pivotal moment for me because I never knew I was going to become an actor or someone that people would go up to. Yeah. But this moment was so influential for me because she turned around and she goes, "Hi, sweetheart, what's your name?" First thing I learned, I was like, "I'm Meghan." And that moment, I was like, she cares to know what my name is. And she's like, "Hi, I'm Yasmine." I know who she is. She introduced herself. All those years later, no one teaches you how to be an actor once the show becomes successful. Yeah. No one teaches you what to do when people recognize you. Yeah. That moment with Yasmine Bleeth taught me how important it was for someone to make me feel seen.
Okay, and this next one, it's a really small thing, but it made me chuckle, so I thought I'd play it. You'll hear her listing off things one after the other, all the great things she's doing. And then she suddenly remembers that she has to talk about her being a mom and a wife and a friend. So it's just the way she suddenly pauses before she says that. It just made me laugh.
Yeah. It means working on replenishment. What are the next SKUs? And what's the next tranche of products? And what's the timing on that? And writing the newsletters and writing the social media captions and making sure that all that feels in line. And what's the cadence of it? And what's the photography that we want to do? And what do I want to wear for those shoots? While also editing all the time-coded notes for season 2 of With Love, Meghan. And then being in edits for the podcast and being a mom and a wife and a friend.
So then they start talking about how Meghan is this really artistic person, how she went to Jamie's house, and Jamie put together a charcuterie board. Meghan can't get enough that thing. And of course it wasn't good enough, and Jamie says she asked Meghan to elevate it, and Meghan just dashes into the kitchen, finds a couple of quick ingredients, and just uplifts it. Like, who does that? Who are these weird people? And then Meghan says everyone's talking about how she puts the plates together, how she puts her outfits together, her artistic handwriting, and I'm like, who? Who are these people that are talking about these things? All I've heard from people is they want Meghan to shut up about it. It's just her going on, harping these over and over and over.
And I guess over the years, like, again, back to wanting to feel seen and wanting people to feel seen, it shows that you're really listening to what their needs are. It shows that you can show up for them no matter what you have going on. And a lot of that's probably doing the things for other people that I had missed for so long when you don't feel seen or when you feel lonely. And you just want someone to reach out in a meaningful and thoughtful way, not with a huge gesture, but something like, "No, I really I see you. I'm thinking about you over there." Tiny, tiny things that really just move the needle.
Really, Meghan? So where were you when your father was in the hospital, suffering and desperate to see his grandchild? Why weren't you listening then? And why are you so lonely? Is it because you don't care about your ailing father? Or because you can't even stand your own mother, whom you claim to love? But the moment she opens her mouth, you want to shut her up. Is that the reason you're lonely? Or is it because you are estranged from your husband's entire family and you've ruined his relations with them and just alienated any real meaningful relationship you could have had because you just want to keep climbing that social ladder and squeeze a few extra bucks from your titles that you don't deserve? And then, a little after this, they're talking about Meghan being there for Jamie when she needed her, and Jamie says Meghan is being the friend that she wants for her, and I think she's right. Meghan is the kind of friend she wants in her life. Meghan doesn't want true friends. She doesn't want real relationships. She just wants transactions, people she can get something out of, and she is just that kind of friend, which is not a friend. This next one's interesting. I suggest you sit down for it.
Your husband just shared publicly for the first time. He said, "I'm so happy for my wife and fully support absolutely everything she's done and continues to do."
When did you say that?
This week. It's everywhere in the press. Yeah, it's beautiful. But how does it? So okay, so you don't know this. Okay, so you're hearing this for the first time.
That's sweet.
I love that you're hearing this for the first time. He says, I'm so happy for my wife and fully supportive and support absolutely everything she's done and continues to do. How does that make you feel?
Oh, he's such a great partner.
So, that happened. You believe that, right? Of course you do. It is true. Wait, are you thinking Meghan wrote that for him to share on public forums? Come on, Meghan wouldn't do that. In this next segment, Meghan says something which is actually really good. It's really well put, and I would want to share that with women. It's also in keeping with the theme of this podcast. If only Meghan was actually practicing what she's preaching. Coming from Meghan, it's just jarring to hear. The hypocrisy is painful. Throughout the podcast, she's made it a point to tell us over and over that she's totally cut off from what people are saying about her, while also responding to every single point people have ever raised against her through these questions that she absolutely did not write down herself. Like, come on, Meghan, you're losing it. The web of lies has grown out of control. And Jamie, pipe down, no one's replaying Meghan's profound revelations over and over. Once was enough.
But this idea that we spend so much of our life trying to prove something, to prove that you're enough, to prove that you're pretty enough, to prove that you're smart enough, you prove that you're a good wife or a good friend. And I was like, I am just so done with the prove it game. When you get to the place where you feel I don't have to prove anything to you anymore. I don't have to prove that I'm a good person. I don't have to prove to you that I'm a good wife or mom or friend. I don't have to prove that I work hard. And it can be really freeing when you stop playing the prove it game. You're proving nothing to anyone other than to yourself.
The rest of the podcast is just Jamie fangirling all over Meghan, giving her way too much credit, bucketing her with these women who've actually accomplished so much in life, created really successful businesses, made something out of nothing in some cases. One thing I wanted to call out, and this was so weird. I mean, even for this podcast, it was weirder still how many times they mention their no makeup look. Like, we don't care. It's a podcast. Nobody cares how you look. With the kind of skincare available to you, occasionally going no makeup or low makeup is not worth mentioning. It's pretty disrespectful to us mere mortals.